Yo, it's yo boo. Yo, let me send a console today, bro. We finna watch What Is Not Allowed in War. Now, hey, what is not allowed in war, bro? I'm not gonna do too much talking, but I don't think anything's off limit unless it's like like something that can end the whole earth, bro. Like a big ass atomic bomb or like some crazy virus or something. But we finna see what's not allowed in war. Let's get to it.
As despicable as war might be, going back thousands of years, certain militaries have tried to agree on ethical kinds of warfare. Believe it or not, in the Old Testament, it's written on one chapter that during war, trees should not be damaged, but eating from them was fine. In the 7th century, the Muslim army was told, "You must not mutilate dead bodies, neither kill a child, nor a woman, nor an aged man." And again, soldiers were told that they should leave those trees alone. Even in the often violent medieval times in Europe, there were boundaries, with the church writing that there should be just warfare. But it wasn't until modern times that we started taking the ethics of war, perhaps an oxymoron for some people, seriously.
Yeah.
That's what we'll talk about in this episode of the Infographics Show. What is not allowed in war? Okay, so every army in history will have had certain rules as to what's going too far during war. But throughout history, these rules of engagements were mostly an agreement made by two militaries. They weren't always followed, of course, but at least battling armies understood that even killing people had to be underpinned by laws that precluded all-out barbarism. It wasn't until 1864 in the Geneva Convention when laws of war became an international thing. These rules were partly the idea of a Genevan businessman called Henry Dunant. He witnessed firsthand the carnage of the Battle of Solferino during the Second War of Italian Independence. After seeing this, he wrote a book called A Memory of Solferino, and in it he not only describes the horror of what he had experienced, but he also recommended that armies follow certain rules, such as offering humanitarian assistance to the wounded. In 1863, 16 countries got together to talk about creating rules of war, partly based on the ideas of Dunant. In the end, 12 nations agreed on certain terms, and that's what's called the First Geneva Convention. The focus of the agreement was taking care of those injured on the battlefield, not finishing them off or leaving them to die, as often happened before that. For his efforts, Dunant won the first Nobel Peace Prize in 1901. The Geneva Convention was, in years to come, updated numerous times. For instance, after World War I, it was about the treatment of prisoners of war, or POWs. After World War II in 1949, we had the Fourth Geneva Convention, and a total of 196 countries signed this, albeit some ratifying the treaty with what are called reservations. There have since been 3 amendments in the form of what we'll call protocols. These are sometimes breached, such as when armies use certain banned weapons or when soldiers were tortured after they'd been captured. Now, let's have a look at what things are not allowed. We know that soldiers that have been wounded must be helped. It's written that they should not be treated in a dehumanizing way and that they should not be humiliated. The conventions tell militaries that these soldiers, in all circumstances, be treated humanely without any adverse distinction founded on race, color, religion, or faith, sex, birth, or wealth, or any similar criteria. If a person is injured, he should not be treated as a target any longer. Moreover, it doesn't matter if you're not on the injured person's side. If someone is hurt badly and attention can be given to them, then that should happen. Then you have people who are part of a military that don't necessarily fight, including chaplains and medical staff. These people should be left alone, but the treaty—
What? You can't, like, bro, following that rule the whole time? Like, you don't remember what happened with the German soldier or some shit? Not German soldier, British soldier let somebody live, and it was Hitler. He was wounded and he let him live. Like, bro, what if you let the next Hitler? What if you help him, bro? That's actually crazy to think about.
He states that this can change course if that person is armed. We're also told that if one side doesn't have enough medical personnel, it has a right to take hostage medical personnel from the other side so that they can begin treating the wounded. It goes without saying that those hostages should be treated well. Perhaps a lot of people died on the battlefield and are just lying about. We're told that these people should be picked up when possible and given a proper burial. Sometimes fighting should even stop so the dead can be moved. Their bodies should be treated with respect. And if it's possible, those people should be buried in a way that respects their religion, if their religion is known, of course. There's even something called the Graves Registration Service, which should mean that the dead can be traced and, if needed, their bodies exhumed and sent back home. Anything found on the body, rings, money, etc., should be returned to the dead person's next of kin. This is a a major part of the rules of war, being good to the injured and respecting the dead. Then you have the people who have been captured, and as you know, these folks are called POWs. They too should be treated with respect, not tortured, not treated inhumanely, and treated for wounds if need be. What can happen though is certain people are not given POW status. This happened in the USA. The Chicago Tribune wrote that in 2002, the US Army would give this status to captured Taliban soldiers, but not people belonging to the group Al-Qaeda. This meant that they were denied the rights of POWs, and we all know what happened to some of them. Many critics said the US had breached the rules of warfare, which says detainees should be treated humanely. At the time, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld said that it would happen, but he said these people were not POWs as they belonged to a terrorist organization. When it comes to POWs, they also have to be treated according to their rank, which means that an officer might receive better treatment than a lowly private. That's why POWs are always asked to give their name, rank, and serial number. Once detained, they're told that they can be questioned, but torture is a definite no-no. It's written in the Third Geneva Convention that no physical or mental torture, nor any form of coercion, may be inflicted on prisoners of war to secure from them information of any kind whatsoever. Prisoners of war who refuse to answer may not be threatened, insulted, or exposed to
I'm not gonna lie, they was not following this, bro. They was not following
unpleasant or disadvantageous treatment of any kind. We all know this has happened, and we've heard stories about the Guantanamo Bay facility and other black sites. The US has been criticized by human rights advocates, but as we said, these types of prisoners were not classed as POWs. So of course captured people may be treated badly, but all we're saying is that under the international law of warfare, they should not be. However, if you search for instances of when detainees have been tortured after they were captured during conflicts, you'll find many, way too many for us to mention today. Not only should these people not be demeaned or tortured, but they should be given enough food, water, and clothing, while also be allowed to practice their religion and write their family or friends. They are to be given their location so that people can write back to them. At the same time, the captured people should not be paraded around for the public to see. They should not be photographed or videoed for public consumption. We're told this is not treating them with dignity. After hearing this, you should know that it goes without saying that civilians should be treated with dignity if they end up too close to an army. They should not be hurt and obviously not be killed. They should be shielded from conflict as much as possible. Again, you can find many breaches of this law over the years. If you want to spend some time reading news stories containing evidence of soldiers willfully killing civilians, you could be reading for a long time, and we're just not talking about militaries of less developed nations. This is a Guardian headline from 2010. U.S. soldiers killed Afghan civilians for sport and collected fingers as trophies. We don't mean to pick...
Bro, back in like the Vietnam War, bro, they would be it was called skull collecting, bro. It was like, you know how when you kill an animal, bro, and you put their head up like on the wall as like a trophy? That's what they would do. They would take the skulls and put it on their desks. You feel me? Like, would that be considered a trophy? Because that is a sign that you won. But that's crazy, though. That's crazy.
On the USA, but only point out that the very developed nations breach the rules of warfare from time to time, just as less developed nations do. The good news is that often soldiers that carry out war crimes are charged for their violence, as were the soldiers in the case of the US we just mentioned. Killing civilians is plain unacceptable, as is stealing things from them. If their property or anything else they have is destroyed during conflict, then those civilians should be compensated. If civilians are injured or killed, then the army that did it should also compensate the family. These are known as condolence payments. The Intercept tells us that the US military's price of life is usually capped at $5,000. This is tricky business, of course, as who wants to put a price on life? One U.S. attorney told The Intercept, if I have a case of a 28-year-old doctor, they're going to be paid more than we paid for a child of 4. So what is lost, whether a thing or a person under the rules of law, should be compensated for. Those civilians that did not die should not be removed from their homes unless it's for their own safety. They cannot be forced to fight, but they can be made to work if that work is not directly related to violence. They should also be paid for their work and paid according to proper wages, not used as slaves. If a civilian decides that they want to go up and leave during the conflict, they must be allowed to do so. But if a good reason can be given why they should not be allowed to leave, then they can be stopped. All civilians have the right to appeal this. Militaries are also told to protect what we call cultural property. As you can guess, this might include monuments, certain buildings, places of science, but also just books, works of art, and many things that have importance within a culture. You should never mess with the heritage of a culture as far as is possible. There's also laws relating to what weapons one can use. As you probably know, militaries cannot just start dropping the plague on towns or spraying biological weapons around. Yes, militaries all over the world have put considerable effort into developing such weapons, but they are now illegal in war. We might take mustard gas, for instance, which was used in the first...
The only reason that they're illegal, bro, is because the weapons that they've created is so powerful, it could wipe out half the Earth, or the whole Earth. I'm not gonna lie. If any atomic bomb, North Korea, America, China, if any of them wanted, they could really end the whole Earth, bro. I think the worst thing on planet Earth would be if the system malfunctions. Like the system where they have like you press the button and shit. It's probably you enter a code, it malfunctions and it sets it off. That is crazy.
World War. This is not allowed to be used anymore. Other illegal things are nerve gas, tear gas, phosphine gas, and
tear gas?
Pepper spray, as it's kind of a chemical weapon. Foreign Policy magazine tells us that the use of landmines is a war crime, although we're told that 20 countries have not signed the landmine ban agreement, including the USA, Russia, and China. The treaty also asks countries to clean up all their landmines, which would be some job for certain nations. We're told napalm is not illegal to use, but it can't be used to kill people, only to burn things. The same goes for flamethrowers. They can be used to clear forests and such, but cannot be used to set people alight. This list is a long one when it comes to all kinds of banned weapons. For instance, military should not use dirty bombs, salted bombs, or hollow point bullets or poison bullets. Can you add to our list of what's not allowed in war? What do you think?
Hey, I know the only thing that's really not allowed in war is the butterfly bullets. Damn shit is crazy. Search it up, bro. Butterfly bullets. But hey, that's it with the boy Miss channel. Feel me? Another banger. Infographics always coming out with the bangers, but hey. If I got a video I want me to react to, down in the comment section down below, let me know. That's the same video. I'm finna catch you on the next one. Stay safe.